2 terms, that's when we did the difference of squares. When it was 3 terms, that's what we have spent a long time working on. That was our slip and slide where we factored into our 2 parentheses. Now we want to know, what do we do if there are 4 terms? And the strategy is a little bit different. We're going to do something called grouping. So make sure that you are paying attention today. This is a little bit different than anything else we've done. We're going to start by grouping the first 2 together and the last 2 together. All right, so I'm putting parentheses around the first 2 terms and around the last 2 terms. And then I'm going to factor out the greatest common factor from each parenthesis. So if I'm looking at this one, x cubed plus 7x squared, what is my greatest common factor?
X squared.
And if I take that out, that leaves me, we had 3 x's, we took 2 out, so we have 1 left. We took out both of those, so we have a 7. Remember, factoring out, it's like dividing each of them by that. All right, in this parenthesis, 2x and 14, what can we divide both of those by?
2.
We're going to take out a 2. 2x divided by 2 is x. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Sorry, I really wanted fresh air, but it's cold still. It hasn't warmed up enough yet. Really? Oh, it's still cold. I'll try it again in a few minutes. Okay, now if you look at these, we have 2 terms. What do you notice about both of these? What do they have in common?
They're the same thing, except with different.
Okay. They both have a parenthesis that matches, right? They both have an x plus 7. So what we are going to do is now factor out that x plus 7. Okay, when I take that out, it's basically taking both of those away. And my second parenthesis is what's left. So in this term I took out the x plus 7, so the thing that's left is my x squared. This one we took out the x plus 7, so the thing that's left is the 2. So it looks very similar in answer to the trinomials that we are factoring. But our process to get there is a little bit different. And then just like any problem, if you want to check yourself, all you have to do is multiply it out. X times x squared is x cubed. X times 2 is 2x. 7 times x squared is 7x squared. 7 times 2 is 14. Is that the same thing as what I started with? Yeah, I have them in a different order, but we get the same thing. So that's how we could check to see that our factoring works. So today, all we are going to do is problems that have 4 terms. So we're going to do this grouping until you guys tell me you've got it, okay? Let's look at number 1. So we have 4 terms. So I can see that we have 4 things added together. So we are going to group the first 2 in a parenthesis and the second 2 in a parenthesis. Then we factor in this first parenthesis x cubed and 4x squared. What can I take out of both of those? You can take out 2 of the x's, so an x squared. When you take that out, it just goes in front. You had 3, you took out 2, so there's 1 left. 4x squared, I took out the x squared, so it's just a 4. Is everybody with me to that point? Then we do the second one. 8x and 32, what can we take out of both? 8. Okay, 8x divided by 8 is just x. 32 divided by 8 is 4. In order for it to work, these parentheses have to be the same. If they're not the same, either we can't factor it or you've made a mistake somewhere. If we can't factor it, what do we say? Prime. Okay, so those parentheses are the same, so now what I'm going to do is just write that parenthesis. And then if I take that away, what's left? So the first one would have an x squared left. The second one would have an 8 left. And that is my final answer.
How do you get that number?
How did I get my final answer?
Yeah.
So it's just like if you take away these two parentheses. So you write that parentheses once, and then if that's on here next to it here, and then all right, number 3. One word of warning. We want to group the first two together and the second two together, but you always need an addition between these two parentheses. So before I add my parentheses, I'm going to change this to plus -8, and then add my parentheses. So with grouping, it has to be addition between the two parentheses. If it's not addition, before you add the parentheses, make it plus and negative. So now the first one, w cubed 5w squared, what can we take out?
W squared.
W squared. I had 3 w's, I took 2 out, so there's 1 left. I had 5, I took out the w squared, so just plus 5. Alright. Plus. Now we have to figure out what to do here. -8 and -40. I want my parenthesis to match this other one, so I need it to be a positive w. So I would have to divide this by negative. Alright, if it was a minus before, it's always going to be a negative number that you're taking out here. So -8 is what I'm taking out. -8w divided by -8 is w. -40 divided by -8 is positive 5. We know it works if we have the same parenthesis on both of them. And so in your final answer, you write that parenthesis 1 time. Times the second parenthesis is what was left. Okay, when you took those out, we had a w squared in the first term, plus negative, or you could just write -8 in the second one. I want you guys to try number 4, please. The parentheses have to be identical when you're doing grouping. So when I take my first 2, and then the second 2, because this is minus, before I do my parentheses, I'm going to make this plus -5. And then do the parentheses. So the first one, k cubed and 2k squared, we can divide them both by k squared. So we take out k squared, that leaves us with k plus 2. Second one, -5k, -10. What would I have to take out? -5. So -5, then that would leave us with k plus 2. If one of your parentheses is k plus 2 and the other is k minus 2, you have a mistake. You need to check your signs. Now, they both have the same parenthesis. So if they have that, we write that parenthesis. And then the second one is what's left. If you take that out, you have a k squared and a -5. So the second parenthesis is k squared -5. Are those okay? Let's look at number 5 together. So when we're doing this, when we group the first 2, p to the 5th minus 6p to the 3rd, what can we take out? So when I take that out, you had 5 p's, you took out 3, so there's 2 left. 6p to the 3rd divided by p to the 3rd is just p6. Here, this was a minus, so before you add your parentheses, you have to make it plus a negative. 2p squared, -2p squared, and positive 12. What could we take out? 2 and 12, what can you take out there? Okay. So, the question that some people struggle with usually is whether to take out a positive or a negative 2. I'm going to take out a positive 2 for a second just to show you something. If you take out positive 2, then you are left with negative p squared plus 6. For grouping to work, these parentheses have to match. Do they match? No, my signs are off. So if your signs are off, that means you just need to take out negative 2 instead. So if I do that, we have negative 2, and that would be p squared minus 6. Now they both have p squared minus 6. So we write that once, and then we put what's left. E to the third minus 2. Alright, so if your signs don't match up, try taking out a negative. I want you guys to try number 7 for me. Group the first 2 because it's a plus. You just go ahead and group the second 2. You don't have to worry about making one the negative. First parentheses, you take out 3x squared. 3x cubed divided by 3x squared. The 3's cancel. You had 3 x's, took out 2, so 1 left. 21 divided by 3 is 7. You took out those x squareds. 4x and 28, what can you take out? So take out 4. 4x divided by 4 is x. 28 divided by 4 is 7. This is where you would also catch it if you didn't take out that 3 to begin with. Your parentheses wouldn't match. And so then you would know that you had a mistake. Now they both have the x minus 7, so we're going to take that out. So the thing they have in common, we take out. The second parenthesis is what's left. So if we take that out, we have 3x squared plus 4. Alright, I want to do these until we get them. We have a couple people that didn't try that problem, so we're going to do some more. We must need more examples if we're not trying. Not that I would look at anybody as guilty here. Alright, number 9. So if I group those, if I group the first 2, what do you notice when you go to group the second 2? Yes, because this is a minus, I need to make it plus negative 6 first, and then I can group the second 2. 16, 8 to the third, and 8a squared. What can I divide both of those by? Okay, so 16 divided by 8 is 2. You have 3 a's, you took out 2, so 1 left. What's 8a squared divided by 8a squared? Second parenthesis, negative 6a and negative 3. What do I need to take out? So negative. Put my negative 3. Okay, negative 6a divided by negative 3 would be a positive 2a. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is positive 1. So I check. My parentheses match. So I can take that out. If I take out the 2a plus 1, what's left? Does that make sense? You guys do number 11. If we do okay, that'll be our last problem. So we group the first 2 together and the last 2. First 2, 8 and 12 are both divisible by 4, and they both have an x. We'll take out a 4x. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. You have 2 x's, you took 1 out, so there's 1 x remaining. 12 divided by 4 is 3. We took out the x, so that's gone. Then there was a plus between our parentheses. 2xy and 3y. What do they both have? 1. So I take out my y. So those cancel, so I have 2x. 3y divided by y is 3. So I check. Do they have a parenthesis in common? They do. So bring that down. The second parenthesis is what's left, and these parentheses are multiplied at the end. So the second one is the 4x plus y. All right, much better that time. Are we ready to try some on our own? Okay. On this handout, why don't we just do the odd problems? So you don't have to do everything, you can do odds only.